Hey y'all, on today's show, we help Brendan grow his SEO membership.
Welcome to the Flip Lifestyle Podcast, where life always comes before work. We're your hosts, Shane and Jocelyn Sands. We're a real family that figured out how to make our entire living online. And now we help other families do the same. Are you ready to flip your life? All right, let's get started. What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Flipped Lifestyle Podcast. It is great to be back with you again today. Super excited to talk to another member of the Flip Your Life community so that we can help them take their membership dream to the next level. And I've been pumped about this one all day long because this is one of our very good friends. Not only have we hung out in the community, we have hung out in person. We know each other from a lot of different ways. It's one of those online business relationships that you just end up flowing in and out of online and off throughout the years. Super excited to welcome our friend Brendan Hufford to the show today. What's up, Brendan?
Yeah. Hey, thanks so much for having me. I'm psyched. This is going to be great.
Yeah, we are really happy that you are here. We always love it when we talk to someone that we have met in real life.
And it's funny how we actually met, though, because we were kind of like in the same. It's not even circles. I don't know what you call the online world. There's this weird
ecosystem or something.
Ecosystem. That's a great way to say it.
There's like the whole 6 degrees of separation.
Yeah,
there's probably a lot fewer than
exactly
that.
Right. And it's like you forget who you know online and offline, and you forget who you've met in person.
Yeah,
and it was really weird. And I think that we actually got on each other's radar because when Pat Flynn started his Facebook group. He had asked us to be moderators, and Jocelyn was in there, and I was in there, and you were kind of moderating you were like the leader of the moderators. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I think it also happened too. Like he had, Pat reached out to a bunch of friends. You're friends with them. I'm friends with them, and we got to be friends that way too. But it also got to the point where it was a lot of work, and you were the one that told me, and this was years ago now. At this point, you were like, Pat should really pay somebody for this, and I'm like, I would like to get paid for this. So I just reached out to Pat and became the moderator of moderators. And still
you need a shirt that says that, moderator of moderators.
Yeah,
You're like the king of moderators.
I think I'm still actually a moderator.
Jocelyn is still a moderator.
Yeah,
in there.
I don't really do anything.
Yeah, and what happened was, I was like all for it. Like Pat was like, hey, will you help me do this? I'm like, yeah, man, we got your back. Let's go. And it got crazy overwhelming fast, though. That group grew so fast. I would log in and there would just be 40 notifications.
And people are private messaging you and
and I'm like, and I was like, man, this is a paid job. This is not a normal Facebook group. And so kudos to you for going out and getting paid, bro. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, man. It was one of the first things I did when I was, I was still teaching at that point and just trying to figure out how to build those side hustles and build relationships. And it was, win-win all around for sure.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it was really cool because we spoke at Pat's event last year, and we actually got to hang out like in person live for a couple of days. And you were still grinded. You had the shirt on. You had the official teammate shirt on. And so we could go hide in the green room sometimes from the madness.
I know. I was trying to use, I love y'all, but I was also using our conversations as a chance to just chill out in the green room.
Oh, there's Shane and Jocelyn. I'm going to run over there and talk to them. Bye, guys. Okay. Everybody, good luck.
I need to go talk to our speakers who are also
I am the moderator of moderators. I'm out.
As an introvert, I totally can relate to that.
Totally get it. All right. Well, listen, let's talk about other things. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about maybe your background. What you do, because you do have an awesome day job that's pretty amazing. Mm-hmm. You've actually got this awesome brand, and you've got this awesome membership that's launched. But we'll talk a little bit about that, what you got now. So just tell us a little bit about your background, what you do online, and where you're at right now as it comes to a membership side.
Yeah, we can get to the huge mistake that I've made launching my membership here in a minute. The short story is similar to you. I was a teacher. I went to, because at least in my case, we let 18-year-olds decide what they want to do with their lives. I don't trust 18-year-olds with a lot of things, but apparently taking on a bunch of college debt and charting a career path is something we trust them with. So I sat down at Ithaca College with, I'm sure both you have the physical course catalog. I'm sure it's digital now, but it's like a phone book.
Yeah, and you had to call a phone number and yeah.
Yep. I remember they were piloting online. So I graduated college in 2006. My freshman year, they were piloting online class registration and nothing really worked. It was silly. But my point is I decided at that point to be a teacher and I went all in. I tried to do all the right things. I have my administrative degree, my master's degree in educational administration, climbed that ladder, realized it turns out if you're a really great teacher, being the boss of teachers is a different job. Who knew? I didn't know. I thought it would be kind of the same.
Right.
Managing people's different. And that was awful. Like, I became an assistant principal. I'll be honest with you. I looked up the numbers. I was the lowest paid assistant principal in the state of Indiana. So that's a thing that I always have going for me for the rest of my life.
You gotta be known for something. You know, I mean, it's, loved, hated, never ignored.
I was like, I don't feel like I'm getting paid enough. And I looked up the public numbers and I'm like, I am the lowest paid one. Wow.
Nice.
And it was at that point I was like, is this worth the Sunday night panic attacks? Is this worth the 25 extra pounds that I've gained? Is this worth, I'm going to be honest with you, is this worth the unhealthy relationship I have with alcohol? You know, is it worth all of this to be the lowest paid assistant principal in the state of Indiana? And I was like, all right, let me do something smart. I took a step back. I threw away, everybody said I was throwing away my career. I went from being a principal to being a teacher at a different school. Everybody said it was a step back, but the headspace that it gave me, I sold my online business I had at the time, a blog and an e-commerce company, to two different people. I knew those were never going to be the thing. And I didn't know what to do next. So I went all in on SEO. I started helping people for free and building case studies. And then one of my friends was like, hey, why don't, instead of just feeling forced and all this pressure on yourself, because, you know, as a teacher, you're like, this is the year I quit. I'm quitting this year. And then every year you feel so much guilt. Like, I have to go back again next year. I didn't do it. It creates this really nasty cycle and spiral. So I just took the pressure off myself. And at the end of the school year, I literally ended the school year on a Friday, and Monday I had a job at an agency lined up. And started
an SEO agency?
Yeah, primarily web design, but just a great creative agency with some really great, they would call themselves designers. I would argue they're some of the best marketers I've ever met in my life. And got to work there with some amazing people for a couple years, and just found alignment in my life for the first time. I could think about one thing. I didn't have to pretend that I cared about curriculum maps when really what I cared about was SEO and clients and building my own sites and things. So now I finally had alignment in my life. I could focus on one thing. It was amazing. There were definitely some ups and downs in there, right? Like, you get everything you ever wanted and realize you're still not happy. Like, that was a thing that I had to work through. I built it up for 10 years teaching that once I get out of teaching, I'll be happy. And I'm like, I'm not happy. What's wrong? And working through that, therapy and prayer and a lot of different supportive family. And then, you know, around about 6 months ago, I got the opportunity to go work with and lead the team at one of the best SEO agencies, I would argue, in the world. And that all of that has informed my membership community.
So that's an amazing story, by the way, of like, cause listen, man, some people never quit. And like, you know, and that's what I think people don't realize is, like, it's not about just having enough money. Sometimes you should just quit. Sometimes you should get away from something that's destroying you.
And even if the rest of the world and society says, hey, this is the wrong move, I think sometimes that's an indication that you should run toward that, because who wants to be like the rest of society?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. Like when you stepped back from the principal job, man, you got into something, you realized it wasn't good. So you got out of it. I saw an awesome video from Elon Musk yesterday, and he said, man, he goes, I love it when people tell me I'm wrong, prove that I'm wrong, and then show me the right way to do things. What a gift from God. I don't have to figure it out, right? And then right after that, he was talking about processes. And he said, if it's taking too long for a process to work, it's probably the wrong process. It was something like the difference between, you know, good and great is looking at something that's wrong and scrapping it. You know what I mean?
Totally. Yeah.
And so many people just stay in that rut, man, and it ends up killing them, and their life is useless for 30 years because they never said no.
Yeah, I wake up every single, you know, I don't know if everybody vibes with this, but I get nervous on the weekends sometimes. Like I don't work on most weekends, and it makes me uncomfortable because I actually, you know, it is still work, right? I don't necessarily in my life I haven't seen the whole, like, if you do what you love, it's not really work. For me, it's still work, and it's
for sure,
and it's hard. But the fact that I've found something in a very Cal Newport, be so good they can't ignore you kind of way, like, I'm really good at what I do now, and that makes the work better. You know, it's not just that I love it because I'm really good at it, and I've been able to focus.
Yeah.
So that's been a huge part of it. And also, like, on the throwing your career away thing, I mean, tell me that teaching doesn't influence what you do now. Right? All your skills as a teacher, as a coach, as everything, like working in education, that's why you're so good at this now. Like, that's why I can talk to you this way. Cause I've looked at 14-year-olds for 10 years who did not care what I wanted to say. And I had to put on the show.
Right.
You know, people would be like, Mr. Hufford, I came to school today just to see what we were doing in your class. And I'm like, that is awesome. Like that is why I'm where I am now, right? You're not throwing away your career. It's going to inform the next thing.
Oh yeah, for sure. And most people, actually, that's one reason they say they love our community compared, because like, I think it's because we don't abandon people. Like, we're there, like, and we've said it, and we understand that, like, you know, you learn in groups, you learn together, you learn in structure, and like we were trained teachers. We're both trained teachers. That's what we did for a decade.
I know how to explain it to 5-year-olds. So
exactly.
Probably explain it to you.
Yeah, she can explain. That's right. Exactly. And like I mean, everything that I did in my entire life literally led to this moment. Like with what we do now, like even something as simple as knowing how to edit video from where I used to cut up game film as a football coach.
Yes.
Dude, do you know how that was an unfair advantage to being able how to figure out a podcast?
Computer nerd. Big advantage.
Huge advantage. Massive advantage, right? And like, you know, so yeah, you're never throwing anything away. It's just the next step. You know, you're just taking your next step, and everything you've done to that point is going to build it. So let's use that as a kind of a pivot into the membership. Right. So you've blogged, you've done these things online, you've learned so much about SEO, and you know, you're definitely like, you've done a good job getting out and networking and making, you know, friends with people in the online space, and you know, and you're in this agency where you're crushing it, and you clearly have the bona fides to be able to teach this.
So what made you start thinking,
I need to teach SEO?
Maybe I'll do a website or a membership?
Yeah, I think it.
And what's your website, Brendan, too? What's the name?
So I have a personal website, brendanhufford.com. It's a landing. I talk about everything I want to talk about on there. I'm a big believer. Marketing is 99% having something to say, right? Like having a take on things. So there's a lot of stuff on brendanhufford.com. It's where you can join the newsletter and stuff, the SEO for the Rest of Us newsletter. But I started a project. So that was the start of it, is SEO for the Rest of Us. Really putting my flag in the ground of everybody who has heard, well, you should do SEO. Everybody shoulds them into it. They feel overwhelmed. Maybe they've tried some things. It didn't work. They bought an SEO tool. It didn't help them. They bought a $1,000 SEO course from some guru. It didn't really get them anywhere. And what they're looking for is people doing it together, right? An ongoing dialogue and discussion, not, hey, you saw me in a Facebook ad and now you have a digital course and you can't even get a hold of support. Right? Like that's the experience for a lot of people. And that was frustrating for me. And I was like, look, I know how to teach. I'm an online community junkie. You know, I know how to do all of these things. And I think I can explain this better. So I did two things. I launched because I tend to take on too much. That's kind of my MO, as I say yes to everything. It's why I am where I am today. I started SEO for the Rest of Us. I also started a project called 100 Days of SEO, where I literally, so the initial plan was, listen to this, it's so silly, for 100 weekdays. So every weekday for 20 weeks, I was going to put out a podcast, a blog post, and a video on the same topic. Turns out that's a lot of work. Turns out. You didn't know that. Thought I could just make that happen. And I had it in my head, right? I have a partner that helps me turn the videos into blog posts and podcasts and all these things. I didn't realize how long it takes to make a thumbnail. And how all of the editing the videos, like I hadn't thought all that through, so it was overly ambitious, right?
Dude, dude, it's so funny you say that, because we just went through this back in like around January of 2020. We were hiring, we were designing our team, and we were like, well, let's hire one person first. And we wrote down, of course, this person would, you know, they would spend half their time doing customer support and half their time doing our YouTube channel and half the time doing this. And all of a sudden we look down and we're like, wait a minute, you can't have 40 half the times. That ain't going to work, right? Like these are, and we realized really quickly, these were 3 different jobs that we were actually doing ourselves. Like back in the day. And it's the same thing. You until you get down that rabbit hole, it looks so much better on paper when you wrote down the outline and the bulleted list, and you just realize, man, that takes 12 hours to do one day.
It looked nice when I put it in a deck and got sponsors, right? And then I when I actually looked at the time it took, I was like, I was going to go a little bit slower than I thought. Yeah. I'm still pursuing it because I still love to teach, and I'm a big believer that most of the SEO content on YouTube is like watching paint dry or like watching a wet blanket talk to you. Like, it's just not great. But But so I knew I could do it better, right? I could bring the fire, my personality, everything I learned teaching for 10 years. And then off of that, I continued to build that audience. I'm looking to build audiences on different platforms, but really the main thing is SEO for the rest of us. So I launched it initially with, and this is the big mistake that I was kind of talking about earlier. I said, all right, if you're one of the first people in, you're going to get lifetime access. It's $97. You get everything I make forever, but this is the only time we're doing it. And I did it, and it went great. It was the most money in a small amount of time I'd ever made online. When I look at my, I have this projects and projections Google sheet of like how much I've made every month. Like it was kind of going up and to the right very slowly, and it was really nice. And then there's just this boom, this big spike. And I was like, that's awesome. Great. And I didn't know, I hadn't even thought about membership type of things. I was like, it's a Slack group and all in this. And I hadn't thought that far. I was just like, let's launch that. You can see the trend at this point, right? Like, let's just make a thing. So I launched it. It did great. I think can we talk money? Can I just be honest?
Yeah, we can talk money. That's all we talk about around here.
Cool. And that's one thing I love. Like people love to be vague about things. And you're like, did he make like $1 million or $12? Like I made $10,000. And when you realize that I was a teacher making $50K a year for 10 years, making $10K in a week was like, I didn't even know what we were going to do with all that money, right?
Exactly, man.
What do we even do now? Can we retire?
I remember.
So been there.
I've been there. I remember the month that we made made more than one of our paychecks.
Yep.
The first month that happened, and I mean, it was like I looked at Jocelyn and I was like, where do we go? Do we go to Tahiti or Bali? I don't know. What do you want to do? Like, it was like you're the richest.
You just buy Bali. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe we just buy the island and we'll just move there. It'll be ours.
Yeah, it really wasn't that much money.
It wasn't that much money, but it does. It was like $2,500. But it felt
when you
that
come
way.
From teaching, I got my first SEO client for $500 a month, and my wife was like, "Shut the front door." $500,
right?
Or just what are you going to do? And I'm like, they're just going to like talk to me. I'm going to help them with stuff. So wait, they're giving you $500 just to talk to you, and now it's 10x that per month to work with me, and even that, and I'm not trying to cool guy anybody, but just so you can see the journey, 10x that. If I charge $5K a month to work with me, and I'm still wondering, is that worth my time anymore?
Right, for sure.
It's been, people we're in 10 minutes covering a journey that has taken me 10 years, but you do get there. And my way of getting there has just been continuing to like make things and do stuff. So so you
make 10 grand.
Yeah.
And then what happens? And
then like the next month, you're like, oh, wait a minute. I have to serve those people forever and they're not paying me anymore. Right?
Yeah. Well, the funny thing is, similar question my wife asked me, she was like, so wait, what did they pay you all that money for? I'm like, well, I'm going to teach. So I believe in this as a teacher. The first time you do something, it can help to do it live, right? Instead of like building out a course and then emerging and trying to sell it. Sometimes just pre-sell it. If nobody wants the thing you're selling, maybe you don't need to make it that bad. Maybe the offer's wrong. There's a lot of things you can figure out from that. But I had sold it, so then I had to teach it. So I taught it live. It was great. Recorded them. That then became the first community content. Then I was like, all right, cool. A couple months went by. Let's launch it again. And I doubled the price. It was $197 because everything's got to end in a 7 for some reason.
Of course.
And I sold it again. I got half as many people, but the same amount of revenue. I made about 10 grand again. And I was like, this is crazy. This is awesome. And at that point, having, I don't even remember how many people were in it at that point. But like, a couple hundred people are in there. Some people that I got in because they were my clients and I gave them free access. There's a lot of ways. But at that point I was like, all right, now I got to figure something out. I can't just keep doing these launches forever because I don't have a huge email list. My list is around 2,000 people and I prune it pretty ruthlessly. I'm not trying to gloat and be like, 400,000 person email list with a 2% open rate, right? Like
right.
Have a 50% open rate, which is around what I have for my 2,000 person list. But the problem is I'm going to burn them out. They're there to be on the list. They're not all there to be sold over and over again. And you can segment in different stuff, but I knew that I would need something better. And I was like, how do I bring my best self? How do I show up in the way and make the things I want to make? I have a private membership podcast right now. That's
only for people who got into the membership, basically?
That's only for people in the membership. And just a lot of other things that are only, I put mine in Podia. A lot of like exclusive things only for the membership. And what I've realized is a couple things. Number one, my membership has to be about access, right? That's how I help people. Because I was making like private blog posts inside Podia and people were getting confused. There's a lot of emails flying around. And I was like, it has to be about access, right? And we can figure out tiers later. But right now it's got to be about my Slack community. It's got to be about the private podcast and about the one-to-one conversations and really helping people. My plan, because I launched it around my anniversary last year, was, and I told people, I'm not launching this again for a year. So get in now or no chance for a year. Well, first of all, that's dumb. It sounds good as an offer, and then you realize you have to wait. I feel like I'm saying that a lot today. Then you realize you got to wait a year to launch it again. That's a bummer, but I don't want to be a liar, so I'm going to try to wait. I've done some cool stuff in the meantime. But yeah, so that's what, when I relaunch it again, it will be open forever. It will be a monthly recurring membership. And that forces me to show up in the way that I want to show up, to support them constantly, to be more active versus, you know, my Slack group is dead. I'll just be honest, like my Slack group's kind of Deadsville right now. Everybody
it's hard to build a community.
Yeah, they got what they needed and they're great and they're running with it and they're doing stuff, but it's me checking in with them. It's me supporting them. And I love doing that because I want it to be more about, we talked about this before, like more about my students' success versus mine. You know, I can still keep, like I do this every day, so I can tell you success stories.
But none of those people have paid you for a year, right?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, that's a problem.
I haven't been paid in a hot minute. I did start doing a monthly challenge, and that worked out really well.
That was a list month, like you would send it to your whole list though, right? It wasn't just
I sent it to my whole list. I was like, here it is. It's one fee for the month, and Podia kicks out the daily things throughout the month. They get a Facebook group that goes with it. And what I realized is that in the monthly challenge, everybody was really active. And I was like, oh, there's something here, right? Yeah. Everybody was following up every day, really excited, really enthusiastic. And I was like, all right, there's something here. It's an obvious bridge of like, hey, do you want to keep this momentum going? You just made like at the end of the month, it was the rank and convert challenge. They make a blog post that's not only ready to rank, but also convert. I think that's a big miss in SEO. A lot of people think like they have to write it for search engines. And then people, if they ever do get traffic, it doesn't convert at all because they don't understand both sides of it. So I taught them both sides. They have a really awesome blog post at the end. They've made a thing. They've celebrated. People have cheered them on. I built in all these cool pieces to it. And then it's like, hey, do you just want to keep this going? You want to keep the party going and come over here and hang out? Like, it's like the after party, I feel like, kind of, now that I'm saying it out loud.
These SEO after parties. That sounds like a fun after party. Right.
It sounds like a party out.
All the cool kids are going to the SEO after
Listen,
party.
I would probably be there.
I'd be there. I'd totally be there.
Just FYI, just so people know, SEO means search engine optimization. Yes. We didn't go over that.
I apologize. Yeah, I got into it.
Well, yeah, we're all going to geek out about this stuff.
That's right. I'm about to go buy SEOafterparty.com because that's what you do when
that's what you do.
You buy all the domains.
We will so be there.
Okay, so let me just let's circle the wagons here. Okay?
Yes.
So this it's funny. It's been a while to get this conversation recorded, but we actually talked about this when we were in person together. We were like, yeah, man, now we've got to reboot. You know what I'm saying? We can't lifetime memberships are amazing.
There's a place for them.
There is a place for them. Like we had a client who was looking for a really big hit back in February to make some investments in her business. We created an awesome lifetime offer. She did like $60,000 in 1 month. Her name's Nikki Rouse. She was I don't remember the podcast numbers. Also, maybe we can look that up. But
okay,
we'll put it in the show notes if you want to go listen to it. But like but it was a really specific place. We had been really strategic for about a year, building her membership up into the hundreds. Like, you know what I'm saying? So there was a reason for that lifetime membership. You know, they can be awesome offers for lifetime value bumps and, you know, things like that. So there's a place for them, but they're not good for launching. They're really, really not good for launching your membership because you do get into this endless cycle of all these people are not paying you. That can be demotivating. That can create a long tail of work that just lasts forever. And it also then can stunt your offer. Like you can't really figure out like, well, what am I selling monthly? You know what I'm saying? That these people are getting forever, and how do I change this and then get it and all those things.
I really don't like it as an introductory offer because you don't even know for sure what you want to do. So, you have the Slack group open and then now you're kind of like, do I even want to do Slack, So anyway, I understand what you're saying. But
don't feel bad because a lot of people come to us and they're like, I did this lifetime offer. But really where that comes from is all the information that we all learn about selling courses online. And then and the initial inclination is scarcity, one-time price, but call it a membership. Like that's where people make a huge mistake, and we've seen it 1,000 times.
And if it makes you feel any better, I sold hundreds of lessons for $89. So
oh God,
there's that.
We left in the first year of our business. We probably left $500,000 on the table.
Oh, yeah.
Like Jocelyn went from 89 to 449 for a year. And we sold more copies at 449 than 89. And so like these things, it's just a process.
But at the time, it sounded, it was a ton of money. I'm like, yeah, this is great.
Yeah, I know, right? That's amazing. But whatever, so it's all.
So we live and learn and we move forward. That's all we can do.
So first of all, I want to talk to you a little bit about a couple things that you said there. Okay. I'm going to start with it's about access, right? It is about access, but it's not about access to you. That is a myth that you've got to shake off immediately, especially because you do so much client work and you do agency work and the way you've done it to this point is you've been really hyper involved with things. You know what I'm saying? It's about access to the result, not you, right? And you can give them access to you with 3 components. We talk about these all the time on the podcast. It's training. But it's not just training, it's a path, right? I think that's why you're seeing traction with the challenges, is you're giving people an immediate path. You're showing them the next 3 stones to skip across.
There's a start line, there's a finish line.
Exactly. The path, we call it the blueprint. That's what we like to call it. You're showing them the first page of the blueprint and they're able to do it, right? So it's not access to every piece of knowledge that Brendan has on tap, right? It's access to that blueprint. And then you're giving them access to each other. Crudely, you've done this in Slack, right? But like Slack works for teams who have other ways to communicate with each other. It does not necessarily work for a community. Communities need to see each other's faces. Communities need to see images of each other, and they need to be able to hear each other's voices from time to time, and they need to see other things. And then all of a sudden those relationships form, and there's less stress on them accessing you because they have each other. Okay, so access to each other is another extension of you, and it's really important. And then access to you is a component of it. We're very strong believers in that there is a difference between a subscription and a membership. A subscription, you have access to content and stuff, right? And that's fine. We all have Netflix, and we like Netflix, and we like to access that. That's a subscription. That is not a membership. A membership is led by a leader, and a member, and that leader doesn't always have to be there. A leader, we have people that show up once a quarter for a really good member call,
and it doesn't always have to be you.
Exactly. You can appoint and raise up leaders around you. We're doing that in our community right now with different people on our team. We're doing that on our Facebook page, even our public face. We're having other people on our team creating content for our social media now, right? So it's access to that leadership, that coaching. But again, don't settle into the myth. Man, I got to be there for every single thing,
forever until death.
Exactly. You will actually hurt your members' success rate if you're constantly doing that. It's just like leading a team. If you constantly show up and save the day for your employees, and you constantly show up and answer all their questions, and you rob them of the joy of solving problems themselves, they don't grow, right? And you can't lead a team that way. You can't lead an employee that way, and you cannot lead a membership that way, okay? So I want to just go against that myth a little bit, okay? Now, the next thing that I'm hearing, and I may need some context here, is you've realized that you want to do it monthly, and you should have done that in the first place. But now it's kind of like, how do I launch this? Is that what you're saying? Like, how do I create the urgency to get in? How do I do the thing? Is that what you're kind of struggling with right now?
Yeah, I think it's 2 things. It's probably a little bit of probably not imposter syndrome, but just like wanting to have a bigger list and a more coordinated launch plan versus just like, hey, y'all, doors are open, come on in. So yeah, I think I understand how to launch in terms of, and this is, I think you pointed out a really important thing that I want to like re-highlight. That's going to be a key takeaway for me is I launched a membership like I launched an online course, right? And that was like that, and I nailed it because
you got the big hit. I think I did really good at that. But then the problem is I didn't actually launch a membership, and that's what I thought it was, and that was a big misalignment. So yeah, around the launch again is I want to make sure that I'm doing the right things to launch it in a way that I don't run into that again. And I think the easiest example is like make it monthly recurring, but that a monthly recurring revenue is not a membership, you know? It's just a revenue model. Yeah, I mean,
I want to have
a payment plan is a monthly recurring revenue.
Yeah,
you know?
or a subscription, right? That's also a key takeaway for me is that like there's things that are subscriptions, there's things that are memberships. So what pieces do I need to have in this membership to keep people coming back? So when I'm ready to market it again, you know, what exactly are you getting? A Slack group is not compelling content, and the course part, like the education part, is not necessarily compelling. So
I got a good quote for this. Okay. So I always say that the best product is the intersection of what your people want and what you're willing / able to give them.
Exactly. And I think you've actually discovered this, Brendan, because, okay, so like launching it, let's talk about launching membership real quick just to get it off the table. Okay. Mm-hmm. When people think of a launch, they think of this giant thing and it's all crazy and it just explodes and it opens and it closes and whoo, we launched.
Timers and
right.
Yeah.
But like that's launching a rocket. You know what I mean? Like what if we were just launching a plane? It would launch and then it would level out. And that's really how you have to view the opening of a membership, right? It isn't as big of a deal. It isn't as big of a crazy. It's strategic. Like we want to go to our list. We want to launch our list. We want to hype it up a little bit. Next week, I'm doing a live thing to show you this cool new thing I've got. And then we want to have a launch day where the grand opening and the doors open, right? But then it levels out. Now, can we use some technique there? Can we have a couple bonuses that we create that kind of give some people some urgency that disappear? Sure, we can. Can we say, hey, it's eventually going to be X price, but today it's going to be this price? Sure, we can. There's ways to create that scarcity, but we want to just launch and know I don't have to hit the home run here, right? I want to bat 400. Forget hitting a home run every once in a while. What about the guy that bats 200, but he hits a lot of home runs? That's fine. I want to bat 400. You know what I'm saying? To just be really consistent over time and give myself a chance to succeed. So just think about launching and leveling it out. Like that's
and you take
the stress off of it.
Like a new restaurant or a new retail store. They don't just have their grand opening and say, okay, everyone come in. They usually do like a soft opening. So they'll invite people to come and say, okay, you know, come try this out and let me know what the problems are so that when we have our grand opening, we won't have all of these issues.
Does that make sense? Right? Yeah. So going into it with this mentality, I'm not launching a membership to make all my money day one, right? I'm just planting seeds on day one and learning how to make it better every day, right? No matter how you open your membership, it's going to be wrong. Your goal every day as the leader of a membership community is to be less wrong every single day, right? I just want to be less wrong than I was yesterday. I was wrong about something yesterday. I'm going to be less wrong today, okay? So launch and level it out. Now, here's the intersection. The pressure of launching is off. We are going to open it. You've got a great list. They're opening your emails. You've probably got 100 people ready to join. Okay. So let's go back to what Jocelyn said. The intersection of what you want and what your people want. Your people clearly want challenges, right? You've got this one challenge that you can do free and do that every month. That's your lead magnet, right? And I've seen people do the same challenge every month, 12 months a year. They do a challenge for 2 weeks, and then they stop the challenge, and they get a bunch of emails, and then they convert those emails into members, right? So you open this free challenge, you get a bunch of results for a bunch of people, you build a little Facebook group, and it keeps getting bigger, and then you convert all those to members, and then you wait. Hey, guys, next month, you know what time it is. It's time for that challenge again. You go get a bunch of new people. They come in, and that's your lead magnet. But then inside your community, you could totally just do other challenges And that's how you're going to build. You already got these people in because they love challenges, right? And they want to learn SEO through challenges. That's how they got on your list, right? So now you just inside your community every month, you do different challenges that are more in depth. You have a Q&A about it. It's more open-ended where people can really see what's working and what's not working. And you can just build the internal community around these challenges. Eventually, you'll have enough challenges where you can just cycle through them every year, right? Because they're consistent and they're evergreen, and it's not like you don't have to reinvent the wheel all the time, right? Like we teach 6 things, you know what I'm saying? Like we teach you how to come up with your idea, how to set your goals, how to start, build, and grow your membership site, and then the marketing. Like we're always going to teach that, right? So our challenges would be built around those things. Maybe January is launch your membership month, and maybe whenever is whatever. So you could use this challenge model that you really are digging and your people are getting on your list and loving and buying from you already. Instead of selling challenges, have 1 or 2 really good free ones. And then in the membership, we do a challenge every month. You want to go to the next level? That's what we do inside the community. We've got training, but we hang out as a community. That's your community, is the challenges. You will build community as people go through that foxhole together and they follow you through the challenge, right? And you can then create systems and stuff to automate all that stuff to help you manage it better. So I think that you might be having some gold here. If people are willing to keep joining your challenges for $99 or whatever every month, why not just put them in the membership and then have 1 or 2 that are free to get leads, and then all the other challenges? Like how could you 1 month at a time take me through challenges, and in 1 year I would be an SEO expert or whatever, and just have 12 challenges, and they're the first week of the month is your free challenge, and then we got 2 other. I got another challenge starting in the community tomorrow,
and then
right in the middle of the month. You do that and take a week off.
The component you can do as far as giving them access to you is to do a live Q&A. That's what we do. It's easy. You don't have to prepare anything. You just show up and you answer people's questions.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying that's what you have to do, but that is a really easy thing to do. And as far as your Slack people, just tell them, hey, this part of the membership is going away, but I'm going to put you into this other membership.
Or you leave that Slack channel there for now as kind of like, lifetime people, you always have this, and that's it. But the new part is different because you're going to be doing content and stuff. It's a new product at that point.
So they still do have lifetime access to
all the stuff you promised them,
stuff.
But you're going to have a new thing that you're going to sell going forward, and it's going to include the challenges will not be included in the old thing.
So that's just a personal decision.
So like imagine if your membership looked like this. Like let's take a month. All right, let's say all right. Let's start at the last month of June. Okay, got 1 week. All week that week. Hey guys, Brendan, I got ads running. I'm getting emails. I'm sending it to I got a new challenge next week. The first week of July, we're going to do the whatever that challenge was that you told me about earlier, right? The blog thing.
Or we could even start with where most people need to start, which is just making their website super fast.
Easy. That's right. Well, I would have 2 free ones that you rotate. So 1 month you do this. The next month you do that, but you're just going to go back and forth. So maybe 2 beginner challenges like for us. 1 month I might do ideas. That's usually what we promote. The next month I might do something that's more like how to turn courses into a membership. Something true beginner. Like you don't have an idea, or you have an idea, you just want to transition, right? So you rotate those back and forth. So let's say that we're going to pick the first one. Let's say we're going to pick the website one that you just said, okay? So the last week of the month, you just have ads going and you're just building a list. And you're like, challenge starts. The challenge, make it cheap, like $7 challenge, $7 challenge, whatever. Like just something easy that people will pay for, right? So you get a bunch of people in, you do the challenge for the first week of the month. At the end of the challenge, Friday, everybody's got a result, everybody's happy, everybody's having a good time, it's awesome. And you say, hey guys, this was awesome. But guess what we're doing inside the community next week? We're starting our 2-week Rock'em Sock'em Robot SEO Challenge, whatever it is, right? Like whatever you call it, you know what I mean?
Please don't call it
don't call it that.
Please don't call it that.
That's kind of an awesome name, though. You know what I'm saying? All right, but so what you do is you have this natural progression. Hype the challenge for a week, get a bunch of buyers off your list, people that will pay $9 or something silly, and then next week you say, hey, in our membership, we do this every month. I take you through this, and I've got training, and you're doing this together, and you've got me as the leader. Did I mention that I do a Q&A in the middle of the challenge to make sure that you get started? So there's your Q&A is always nested in the middle of the 2-week challenge, right? And so the first week is this little challenge. It could be free. It could be a total lead magnet, and then you sell people into your membership. You do a 2-week challenge in your membership. After about a year, you've got these. You can cycle back through them, right? And then the last week, you just start over and you get ready for the next one. But that's your whole marketing cycle. So that means you find people who want to learn SEO. You find people who love challenges, and then you sell them challenges as your community.
So does that method sound easier than what you had been doing or what you were considering?
If you mean, does it sound easier than doing nothing? It doesn't sound easier, but it is vastly preferable because nothing means nothing.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, but I totally agree. Like I'm already, my brain is already just like exploding with ideas. But yeah, having a 1 week or 2 week challenge, and then mid-month have that end of challenge Q&A that is, just a very honest, like, hey, I'm answering all your questions, but also if you want to, SEO after party kind of thing. And then we're doing this thing over inside the community.
Oh, you could call it that. You could call your Q&A, and we call ours Q&A with S&J. Like you could call that. You always do the Q&A at the end of a challenge. Like, and then you call it's the SEO after party. Like we all hang out. We talk about the challenge, what went right, what went wrong. You got an extra week in the month left, so you can go play and figure some stuff out. And then, hey guys, don't forget next month I got then you hype the next challenge. So they pay next month.
So that's built-in retention.
Just built-in retention every single month.
I love it. I think that's really smart. And it allows me to do the things I'm best at, right? Like, I think I've learned through a lot of reflection that I am very introverted. But I moved every 2 years growing up. So I became very extroverted, right? Like I do well in this sort of thing. So it allows me to get in front of people on Q&As, to write hilarious, snarky emails and do the challenges alongside them and cheer them on and use a lot of GIFs and all these different things that make me online. It also fits with who I am. And I like that. I feel a lot of alignment,
Yeah, for sure, man. And then you just build up this monthly recurring revenue that just stacks every month, like forever. It never closes. And there's always a reason, even if they repeated the challenge. Like, for example, like June, we've got a marketing promotion that I'm running our membership master subscribers through. It's a summer sale because the first day of summer is June 20th. And we're recording this in June. So one thing that we like to do that works really well is offer your quarterly offer, like your quarterly price. We offer that for summer, fall, and winter because it makes sense. Like, hey, join for the whole summer, and pay once for the whole summer, and it renews quarterly, right? So like those, you can do promote challenges like that. Like you could have, like you can now bend your challenges to the true marketing calendar. Like, hey, it's the 4th of July challenge, right? The freedom challenge. You know what I mean? You're going to go out and do something with SEO and freedom and free, and you can do Christmas and Black Friday, and you can get into the normal marketing, advertising, promotional type thing, but you get to be creative in your membership and you get to spin it back toward your people, right? So there's no reason for them to ever quit because every month you're going to help. What's working in SEO right now for the rest of us? You get to do that every month in a challenge. You know what's working right now, guys? People SEO. You know what's really working in SEO in June? This. I'm going to have a challenge next month about this. It just sells itself. It's pretty easy.
Yeah. And I've noticed like even the things that I do in my day job when I educate my team and I'm like, hey, this is a gap for us, whether it's link building or content strategy. And now I have that, right? Like I've made that thing for my team internally. Now I have that framework, right? I can make it different, right? I'm not trying to repurpose stuff.
And that's all the challenge really is. It's a framework. Like like whenever we say challenge, all we're doing is laying something out for someone to walk through a framework, right? 100%. It's the same thing as a course. It's the same thing as anything else. It's just got a nice community feel to it, Yeah.
So and I totally agree. Yeah. Just being able to walk, being that, again, teaching thing, being that guide by the side, right? Like just kind of helping walk them through it step by step. And eventually it becomes a thing where it's like, hey, we've refined this enough that maybe we talked about access, right? The access to each other and the access to the information is enough.
It is.
It's not Brendan.
It 100% is. It is 100%. And you're just it's like you're just the leader, right? They know where you are. They know where they can find you. You're there and you're going to show up for them on those Q&As or whatever, the after parties. But most of everything you need is right there in front of them at all times.
Yep. 100%. Okay? I appreciate your thoughts on this. This has been extremely transformational. So,
dude, listen, we always ask people what you're going to do in the next 24 hours. I'm asking you when you're launching the monthly membership. I want a time frame. We're going 3 weeks from now, 4 weeks from now. Like, when is this going to happen? I know.
Tomorrow,
tomorrow, you're just going to just send an email. What's going on here, man? Like, we got to get like a time frame on the table.
I mean, you said July 4th, so can we call it that?
Yeah,
great.
I love it.
Yep,
I love it.
Great.
We can talk more about it in member calls the rest of the month.
I'd rather have tomorrow, but I guess that'll be okay.
4th of July.
Well, I gotta go by SEOafterparty.com right now.
That's right. That's right. And you got, but that gives you a good 2 or 3 weeks. You can hype this thing out, get your list excited for it. Listen, don't discount those lifetime people. Just say, hey, you're going to have access to everything I promised you in the past, but this is new. This is a new product. This is a new part of the community. It's a new thing. Like, they'll probably join. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Because you're offering something different. This is not the same thing. It's a different product. Okay.
Totally. Yeah, anyway. That absolutely makes sense.
Yeah, awesome. And I would give them a super great discount and say, hey, thank you so much for being my lifetime member. I'm starting something new. I would love for you to be a part of it. And here's how you join.
Good deal, man. Well, listen, I really appreciate you for coming on the show. Jocelyn and I are proud to call you friend. And we know that you'll take massive action. And I have a feeling that we'll be celebrating a success story sometime in a few months on the Flipped Lifestyle podcast. And I got this other inclination that maybe, just maybe, we'll be celebrating $1 million membership over at Membership Masters someday too, man.
I'm going to be watching in the community.
We'll get there. And I appreciate both of you. The work you put out in these podcasts, I don't know how much you hear about it, but I don't think it's enough no matter how much it is. There's a lot of people putting out a lot of fluff around marketing, and the fact that you make these, your podcast and all the content you put out really actionable and really like walking people through things that they can learn from is very different and unique. It shouldn't be, but it is. So I just want to applaud both of you, and I really appreciate both of you and the work you're doing.
Oh, thanks, man.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys, that wraps up our amazing interview with Brendan Hufford. What a great, great, great person. We have had the pleasure of being friends with Brendan for a long time now, working alongside him, and I cannot wait to see his membership site explode. He's going to send that out to that list. He's going to hype that thing up, and I know he's going to get a bunch of members out of the gate when he launches that membership. And we would love to help you launch a membership site of your own too, over at fliplifestyle.com/free. You can get a free trial to the Flip Your Life community. You can come in, you can try it for 30 days. You can see all the amazing training that we have to help you start, build, and grow a membership site. We get two Q&A calls every single month. And of course, we have the Flip Your Life community where we have daily conversations between us, between our team, and all the people that are inside of that. So go to fliplifestyle.com/free and you can start your 30-day free trial today.
All right, the next segment of our show is the Can't Miss Moments segment, and these are things that we might not have had the opportunity to do had we not started our online business. And today's Can't Miss Moment for me is the ability to cart my dogs around. So we have 3 dogs. We have 2 Labrador Retrievers, and we also have one little unknown mixed breed that came into our lives a few months ago.
Someone dropped him off out by the lake, and the kids unfortunately got a hold of him before we did, and we were looking for an owner for him, and we just decided, hey, we're pretty good owners. Let's just keep this little guy, and he's like the best dog ever.
But one of the things that I've noticed over the past few months as we've been dealing with this coronavirus pandemic is that people are talking about how they've been home more and are spending more time with their pets. And that's one thing that I can say because of our business. I'm really happy to be able to spend most of my time with my pets. We take them most places with us. And it's just a lot of fun just to look over and see your furry friends smiling at you.
Yeah, we're over at our office right now. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see we're in my little mini YouTube studio here. And
our male lab Sam is over here.
All 3 dogs are running around the house, but we get to bring our dogs to the office. We have a fenced-in backyard, and the kids go out and play with them. And we don't have to leave them home. We don't have to kennel them every day. We get to be with our furry friends. So that is pretty awesome. Can't miss one. All right, guys, that is all the time we have for this Flipped Lifestyle podcast. But before we close the show, we want to leave you with a Bible verse. Jocelyn and I get a lot of our inspiration and motivation from the Bible. So we like to share a verse at the end of each episode. And today's Bible verse is from Isaiah 43, verse 18. And the Bible says, "Forget the former things. Do not dwell on the past." So maybe like Brendan, maybe you've launched before and it was good, but then it flamed out and you made a mistake. Or maybe you've tried before and nothing happened. We want to challenge you today to forget the failures of the past. Don't forget about all those former things and move forward so that you can build a better future for your family. That is all the time we have for today's show. Until next time, get out there, take action, do whatever it takes to flip your life. We'll see you then.
Bye.
Boom. I love it.
Hold on, we got a pop-up ad.
Listen to this. Behold, they are all a delusion. Their works are nothing.